Got some weird stuff going on in my headphones. I'm sorry. I had to make sure I had to get myself together, everybody. Thank y'all so much for being here. I'm Jessica Jones. I'm the Cryptid Huntress. Yes, I am back. I'm alive. I'm safe. I'm sound. And we had a fantastic investigation last weekend. Farrah of the Conversation Cabin invited us out. And by us, I mean Zook and Drewski from the Cryptid Warfare podcast and some of their buddies. And we went out and did an investigation up in Tennessee at Farrah's 488-acre property, including a gigantic, ominous cave right behind her house. And we talked about that about 2 weeks ago on this show. I had remote viewed her property and all of the high strangeness that was going on there. And we did a full investigation. Okay, since then, we had everything potentially we were looking for there that ranged from Bigfoot to Dogman to Skinwalkers to rakes to you name it. Okay, we weren't sure what we were going to be getting into, but Farrah was very concerned. Something had been taking her chickens, and they've been having a lot of activity around their home. We're going to get a full update from Farrah today because since we left, there has been some more activity. Okay, but yes, we are all safe and sound. Everybody made it home, and we're going to talk about it tonight. So thank y'all for being here. I want to give a huge shout out to my moderators. I already saw Val and Jane up in there before the show even started tonight, and everybody else that's in here. Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. Everybody in the live chat, all my Patreon members. If you're a VIP Patreon member and I don't have your mailing address, please send that to me because I'm mailing out all the VIP Patreon gifts, and I want to make sure you're included in that. Okay, so you guys get those to me pronto. All right. Also, if you'd like to join my Patreon, that is at the patreon.com. Just look up the Cryptid Huntress, and all of my remote viewing data is there for all of these shows I do. I put the remote view data for what we did at this investigation on there for this week's with all the pictures from this week, stuff that I have not put out on social media anywhere. So you guys are going to get to see a lot of cool stuff if you go over to my Patreon and become a member. Thank you. Big shout out to all my Patreon members. I love you guys. Also, if you'd like to support what I'm doing, I have a shop that's called War Woman Goods, and that's over on Etsy. Yeah, shout out to everybody who has supported me there as well. And please go to thecryptidhuntress.com for all of my shows. Trying to think. Oh, and the events, the events that I'm going to be there, be at. I've got the Paranormal Roundtable Dogman Cryptid Conference coming up. That's Labor Day weekend. And that's going to be a really good time. Okay, let me take this off and let's get to our guest. How about that tonight? Because we have so much to unpack. I figured let's just go ahead and get to it. Let's get down to the nitty gritty tonight. Okay. And I guess I need to check out my comments. I'm sorry. I was reading my comments on my other videos. We had a fantastic show yesterday, y'all. Yeah, y'all please go check that out. I had Daryl James from the Secret Space Program. He was former U.S. Navy on my show yesterday, and that was awesome. Human animal hybrids and the Vril lizards. Check it out. Okay. It's definitely worth it. Okay. So today I have Zook here of the Cryptid Warfare podcast. Not only is he a field investigator and a researcher, he's got a kick-ass podcast. You guys go check them out on all of your podcast platforms and on YouTube. Okay. He's a hoot. And I also have Farrah here. Farrah is the host of the Conversation Cabin. She has over 20 years of experience with the paranormal. And on her show, she covers topics like the macabre, extraterrestrial lives, legends and lore, cryptids, and haunted places. That's her specialty, y'all. And so please help me welcome to the show tonight, Farrah, host of the Conversation Cabin, and my buddy Z Baby Zook.
Hey guys.
Is here.
Hey.
Hello.
What's up, guys? It's long time no see. It's good to see both of y'all.
Too
Yeah,
long.
I miss it. How are you guys all doing?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing excellent. The question is, how are you doing since we left this? Since we left your house on Sunday?
Well, I'm alive. That's
Saturday.
a good thing, of course.
That's a plus. Always.
As far as is there activity or more activity going on? Yes, definitely. We actually caught a shadow figure last night, which we'll get into once into whatever you got to get into. I'm not going to take over with all my stories, but yeah, I captured a black shadow last night that was actually outside by where you all were camping by the shed.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then we have something that's in our house. I mean, we kind of always knew that, but we didn't have all the right equipment to kind of verify that. But I borrowed your REM pod, as you know. So I set it up in the living room about 5-6 feet away from, like you said, like an electrical outlet or anything. And got some really great communication as far as just trying to be civil with it and it with me, whatever it is. And then I moved it into a different place in the other room. And then I moved it to a different room right in the middle of my podcast room. And it's still, going off. So, but as far as, I still have all my chickens. Thank God. I'm getting ready to put the next set outside. So that's a little nerve-wracking to say the least.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, your babies. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So you're having shadow figures and things like that showing up now. And and that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Okay. Well, Zook, how are you feeling after this investigation? Are you recovering well? And you didn't have anything follow you home, did you?
The only thing I had follow me is mainly like a couple ticks and then all these little red bites. man. But it was a lot of fun.
Me too.
I mean, of course, we did a lot of praying just before we left, but I can only imagine some of the things you might have stirred up. Because it was wild.
It was wild. It was totally wild. Okay, so Farrah, let's back this up a little bit because there's going to be people in the audience tonight that missed the first episode that we did, where we actually discussed what was going on your property. So let's start from the beginning and tell the audience, give us a little overview of what all happened leading up to us coming out there.
Okay, I'll try to make it a short story. Pretty much, I moved here about 7-8 months ago. We've had activity since the first couple weeks that we were here. But when I moved here, I had gone into the cave. We have a cave that's about, I would say, maybe 12 feet, the one entrance, and about 20 feet away for the big entrance. And I had gone in there and made a tobacco offering just because I had heard that there was Native American here, because I heard that from the owner of the whole property, which is a lady that her family has been here for 100+ years. It's been their land, but they, of course, know from passed down stories. Plus, the college comes out and does investigations in the cave. They've been doing these cave, researching it for about 100 years as well. There's been artifacts taken out of it. So, of course, that part's validated there. But since that time that I've moved here, I've caught, actually the day of the tobacco offering, I had an owl that was caught on my camera. That my camera was in full view of like an arc, like right to left. And you couldn't see the owl come down and swoop down. It only appeared right in front of the camera and then sat on my grill and then disappeared and just vanished. Never saw it fly off or anything. But we're fast forwarding a little bit to the more tragic events, because yes, I've caught black shadow people in my yard before when we first moved here. November, December, February is when we caught those, but they were more like just standing out in the front yard and watching me, like out at night, and it looked like they were watching me watch them. It was very weird. But like I said, fast forward, I had gotten, I wanted to get chickens. So I got my first set of chickens, 7 of them. I raised them inside the house, of course. But about a day or two before I was putting them out in the screened enclosure, the weekend that we were putting up, we had heard whistles right behind our house up through the trees on that mountain that you guys know where the cave is. It's the mountain above that. It's just always been eerie feeling, sometimes when you're out there, especially at dark, not so much the daytime, but you can still get it. I get certain places that I feel like something's peering through, to me. But we had set up the enclosure, but I had also invested the cave on Friday night before we set up the enclosure on Saturday. When we put the chickens out on Sunday, they survived one night, and literally the next night I came out and 2 chickens were gone. All that was left was a few feathers on one side of the enclosure. And then I just thought to walk to the cave. And when I walked to the big entrance of the cave, there was a few feathers just sprinkled right there at the entrance. But I never found any body parts, eyeballs, like I told you guys before, no talons, no nothing. The entire thing was just gone. And then fast forward to where I started doing a cave investigation again on my property. It's probably about maybe 3 weeks ago or so, 3.5 weeks ago. And I did a cave investigation for 2 days straight. And then the day that I didn't do an investigation, so I did an investigation, stopped. That night, when I came out the next day, another one of my chickens were gone. My rooster was tore up, no scratches or blood or teeth marks. It was like somebody had just grabbed his throat feathers and like maybe yanked him to get him out of the way because he was fighting with them. And his feathers were, just as you can see in the picture, just ripped out. And then there was a stick that was shoved in on the one side of the enclosure, which those are small holes. You got to really kind of wiggle to get that stick in there through all the bumps and, ways that the stick is made. And it was like someone had put that stick in on the side to kind of shoo them to one side. And let me also just throw out, when I came outside to feed them that day, my one male was outside of the enclosure and the door was closed. And no, it could not fit through the hole that was made in the front because they're this big around and big and fluffy. There would have been feathers on, caught in anything. So how he got outside the enclosure with the door closed, I don't know. And then right here was about, I would say, 5-6 feet away from the enclosures. You guys saw where the prints were. I mean, because it had rained since you guys were here, but there were prints that were actually going down to the creek bed, which is where I think the thing travels down the one part of the woods where I showed you that there's kind of like a wore out path. And then you go in the creek bed and then you climb up to my backyard. So like if you see all the way on the right where like there's a bunch of, old branches and stuff, that right there on the right side of it, if you're looking at the picture, there's a worn out path that you go down, your feet hit the creek bed, you look to the left, and there's a little entrance going up the mountain that's a lot easier if you wanted to climb the mountain. Instead of if you went down my road a little bit, you'd like meet steepness right away. This little path lets you kind of wander your way up the mountain and make it a little easier for you at least to get to the middle before it really steeps out. So down that way too, I found sticky paper that was on the back of my chicken's enclosure and it was all wrapped up in the roots of that tree that's heading into that mountain. So again, someone needed to come where the enclosure was, walk all the way through my backyard, climb down a 10-foot drop into the creek bed, go 5 more feet, and then start up the mountain, and that's where it landed. I don't think any regular raccoon or, something would have. It seems to me like something stepped on it like a foot and it was dragging it. But that's my opinion. I'm just here to say my opinion, what I think. Everyone else can think what they want. But that's how I've taken the events, and that's where we're at.
Yeah. Okay. So you talked to me about this, and you talked to Z Baby down here. We got Zook, and we have actually, I think I just saw Drewski in the chat, but it's not under the name Drewski. Okay, I'm gonna pull him up in a second. He's here. He's actually couldn't come on tonight because he's getting ready to go out of town in the morning, so with his family. But you talked to us about this. I remote viewed your property for you and came up with some really interesting data. In the meanwhile, you had a medium looking into it as well, who had some interesting information. Now, I know my remote viewing data, which we talked about 2 weeks ago, involved a plethora of cryptids on your property. And we're talking 488 acres of untouched Tennessee, beautiful land that has crops on it, mountains, caves, all of that. And I was detecting, the data detected an underground facility, ET activity, UFOs, Sasquatch pods. Okay. And pods is an odd word, right? For Sasquatch, but that's the word that comes up often when there's families of Sasquatch when I'm remote viewing. So Sasquatch pods, Dogman stuff. I mean, there was all sorts of interesting cryptids over there. Now, the mediums, I also picked up on a shaman. Okay. A shaman having something to do with this Native American land. Tell us about the medium that you contacted.
Well, actually, who it was I had her. First of all, it was a lady who knew 3 mediums, and they were 3 separate mediums in 3 separate states. But the lady who sent them all my videos, which I didn't even ask her to, I guess she was just very worried because she thought she heard and saw some things in the videos of mine for the cave investigation. So, and mind you, she's an award-winning screenwriter. She's an author of her own paranormal memoirs. Like, for example, her father killed himself because he was actually oppressed by as I told you, Jessica, a tree demon or entity of some types that comes from the tree. She had mentioned, I think once or twice, like it could be like a sort of a Mothman thing, but I kind of lost where exactly she was going all the way with it. But she's written a couple books. She also travels the country to write about people's experiences. But so for her books, she turns to these 3 mediums to guide her on knowing if the people's stories that she wants to write about are true, so she knows whether to go forward on the book writing or not. So these are very credible people, and they do not know each other at all. But all 3 of them had said that when they watched the one cave investigation video where I went in by myself with a flashlight, apparently they saw something of a shadow creature that kind of peeked out. And then when I hit the light on it, it went back in, and then it sucked back into the ground. So that was one thing that they mentioned. The other thing was that they believe shaman as well long ago. And this is, no, I didn't stir it up. Even you had verified that because you did your data. When you said you stirred it up, it was before my chicken was even dead, because now my 1 chicken was dead, but not the 2 yet. So like when you said you stirred it up, it wasn't me stirring it up. Just like they confirmed, this was something long ago that happened. And the shaman, there was a few bad elements of Indians, and they became skinwalkers, and he banished them to the cave, and they want to get out. Being that maybe I walked in there, they're wanting to use me as a way to get out, but it's not like this hasn't been going on for years. They've been wanting to get out. Like this is what they're trying to do, but it's a rake skinwalker, meaning it's a flesh eating, like they skin humans. They're actually known for taking chickens too. So
yes. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And
Right.
And before we go on, Brian, thank you so much for that super chat. We do want full disclosure now. We are doing the boots on the ground research to bring you guys the best and the latest and everything that we can uncover. Okay, and so yes, full disclosure now, everybody. We're going for that. And also I want to thank Amy also for that super chat. That is very sweet of you, Amy. I appreciate you and I love you very much. Thank you. Yeah, and we also have Drewski in the chat, y'all. Here's Drew. I just found him. It's Drewski. Okay, so he's packing up for Texas, y'all. He was a big part of this investigation. Zook and Drewski were the head of Cryptid Warfare over there with Operation Cryptid. So we had a pretty good game plan down too, by the way. So, but listen, when we go in, I don't think any of us have ever battled a skinwalker before. Okay. Nobody that was on our team. I personally contacted a friend of mine who is a shaman, a Native American medicine man. And he gave me some very good advice. I did disseminate that amongst the guys. Farrah, I'm not sure if you got all that information or not. I hope that he sent it to you, but it was a little disturbing to say the least.
I didn't get anything.
Okay, I'll send it to you because you need to have that as well. I'd send it to Drew, and so yeah, and it made me a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, it did make me a little bit nervous. It's about, well, it was just the way to fight it, because in the end, this is a spiritual battle. Okay, and there goes Zook. He'll be back, hopefully. In the end, Farrah, this is a spiritual battle. And I'm not saying that we're battling cryptids, everybody, okay?
No,
But,
and that's the thing I want, everybody to know with my place, is that if you learn who I am, I'm not a YouTube, like a YouTube paranormal investigator that's doing things for views or likes or comments or anything like that. You can go look at my YouTube channel. It's hardly anything on it. This is my property that all I'm doing is I'm sharing my experiences. It's what made me start my podcast, because I can actually then talk about other stories and also tell my own. And I can at least say I'm coming from a place of experience. But like I said, I put up my stuff for everybody to look. I'm sharing it. You do what you will. If you think it's something else, that's your opinion, and that's fine. We're all still allowed, as crazy as the world is today. In my eyes, we are all still allowed to have an opinion of our own.
Thank you. Amen, sister. Absolutely. And we have my friend from down under, Aussie Sue. Thank you so much for that super chat. So sweet of you. And I know that a lot of you guys were really worried about us before we went into this, because we were dealing with skinwalkers and things that I had never dealt with before. But yeah, we're all safe and we're all sound. And I think we're of sound mind. I don't know. What do y'all think? Are we have sound mind?
Yes,
I don't know.
we're plenty.
I think we're a little crazy for doing this, but it's fun. Yeah. Absolutely. It's so much fun. And we really just came out there to help you too. And I'm sorry if my computer's lagging a little bit, y'all. I've got so many, but sometimes when the comments start getting we get a lot of people in the chat, my computer starts freezing up. It's overload.
It's technology.
Okay.
It's not perfect.
It happens. Yeah. Well, we just have a lot of people watching tonight too. This is amazing. Thank y'all for being here. Okay. So, like I said, it was a spiritual battle, kind of. We were actually having to prepare for that as we went in, and so you were missing your chickens. There's no sign of them being killed, but they were just gone, and the feathers.
Oh
were
yeah,
left.
there was no blood too, and I forgot to say that there was absolutely no blood anywhere. Not on the fence, not on the steel poles. Wow. Not in the yard, not on the rocks in the big entrance. I thought I saw maybe one drip of blood on the second killing, in this entrance where the 2 trees are, Jessica. But I mean, I didn't jump down there at that time and look closely. But I mean, I know I didn't spill any red paint or anything. I don't paint red in the cave, you know, for shits and giggles. But,
oh my gosh.
So
yeah, well that's it was good to know that, and that's stuff that we need to know, and it's good for the audience to know too as we go into the research that we did when we got there. Now let's okay, we're gonna fast forward now to the day on Friday. We all pulled up on Friday. We got there. I think the first thing we did was go into your cave, if I'm not mistaken. That was pretty much the first thing we did, right, Zook?
Oh, you're on mute, Zook.
Oh, I knew that. I was just making sure you guys did.
We're paying attention to
They're
you.
just reading
Like
lips.
the handshakes and introductions. We're like, oh, hey, Farrah, and just walk straight to the cave. It's fantastic.
Yep, exactly. But I knew that was going to
did.
happen because, come on, you make a long drive. You want to get in there.
Oh, you got me.
Yes. Yeah, we did. We all went directly into that cave, and it was kind of ominous feeling a little bit, but it also felt good because it was so cold down there. It was hot outside.
God.
So yeah, so we appreciated that. It was nice. But I have to tell you, I wasn't super comfortable going past like where the sunlight was shining into that cave. Okay, because it just felt like something was watching me and watching us the whole time we were in there.
That's the place I get the worst feeling at. Not when you go straight into the cave, but when you first take a left and then you go back there in that divot where like the fireplace is, or like the fire pit, I should say. But that's the place where I get like the worst feeling. Like I get a dread feeling, whereas the big entrance, if you come in and go straight, I get the someone's watching you feeling.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's odd, right? And so we decided to track back into the back of the cave, right pretty much right after we got there. And I realized pretty quickly that we were in a big gigantic cave. First of all, let me show the audience some pictures of what we're talking about here. We started walking back. I believe the guys were in the front and I kind of stayed in the middle. Or towards the back. And as we went in, I mean, this is a huge cave, everybody. This is not just like a little thing you have to squeeze through right off the bat.
Well, look how little the people look compared to the top.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And this is in Farrah's backyard, like 30 feet from her back door, y'all. Okay. Literally, it's so close. And so we walked back there, and as we were going back deeper into the cave, it was muddy back there. And I realized that my shoes were coming off almost because like the mud was, it just like wants to take your shoes off. Okay.
And make you feel like you're 400 pounds.
Yeah, it does. And so I think even Zook, you can even probably attest to this. Like I felt like if something had chased us from the other end, we would have been in trouble.
Oh, very much. I mean, there were so many pockets. Excuse my terminology for you guys that know a lot about caves, but yeah, there were so many pockets up high above, and the elevation was so crazy because some of the spots we couldn't read, like it would have been so difficult. But yeah, a lot of hidey holes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's the scary part. That's where I get that watched feeling, because when you remember, Zook, when you go in a little bit and then you have the cutouts from the right and the left, that's where I was investigating it first. So when I heard something down a ways, like something stepping in the mud, that's when I was like, something's going to come out of the left or right and grab me and snatch me up. Because it's scary when you're back there in the dark with one person, yourself.
Well, yeah, Radio Bat just asked if we had seen any bats. I actually didn't see any bats. I thought it was weird. I think I saw one, but it wasn't in the cave.
I have yet to see a bat in there myself, to be honest.
I saw some birds. I definitely saw some birds. But the wildlife was kind of scarce, I guess. There wasn't a whole lot of wildlife back in there, which was interesting. And I believe it was Brian was telling, and you too, that you guys were telling us about going up into the cave pretty deep. And there was a place where firewood had been burned way up back in there. And some acorns or something, like somebody had been living back there or hiding out or something. Did you see that?
Yeah, they were like it looked like, I don't know, if something happened to be walking back there, it could have had like handfuls, and they would kind of drop some, but then there would be like little piles.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then little turds
Interesting.
too. So
Little
Oh
turds.
yeah.
it could have been from one of
Remember,
us. I don't know.
Jessica, when we first went into the cave, we
Speaking of
found
which,
a turd. But it was, I hate that word. I don't know why I hate it so much. But
My
anyway,
guy terms.
well, I know, right? Well, I don't want to say SHIT, so out of respect. But I remember the first time we all went in there together, I had gone in there with Brian real quick. And I think, Zook, were you with us at that time when it was just me and Brian? And I think one other person, or might have been
Oh
Taylor.
yeah. I think it was me and Brian, and then you went in, and then I stayed behind you when Brian was in front. When they
Right.
climbed up
So
in that really tight spot to get that log.
well, no, this was even before that.
Oh,
Because a
okay.
few
No,
of
I
us
don't think
had
I
gone in
was.
the cave before we all went into the cave for the first time. But when it was me and Brian, we were kind of looking around, and there was a turd that looked like a human turd, but
Poop.
smaller, but not animal, and
Yeah.
not like an animal turd. And it had, from what Brian said, it had no hair, no berries, no grass. It was like, not to be gross, but I'm just trying to describe it as best as I can for the listeners. But it was like something with a clean
I'll take that.
crap, if that's how I
Clean
can say
crap. Hadn't been licking the fur off itself.
it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it had like a piece of something in it, right? A
Yes, and it looked
toenail or
like,
something.
well, at first Brian said it looked like a claw, but then when it was whole before that picture, that's when it kind of broke apart a little bit. But when it was whole, it looks like how the top of your fingernail curves. So it's just like if you were to cut your fingernail, like when you do your clippings, it looked like that, because then when you pushed on it in the middle, it bent. So that's when I was like, I mean, it was a joke more or less, but I was like, is Bigfoot biting his fingernails? And it's just like, he ate it and it's in his crap, or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he just bites
It
the
was
tips of the
odd.
fingernails off his victims.
Well, think about it. If it's somewhat humanoid, it's going to grow nails.
Maybe.
It's not like it has a Sally Henson nail kit at his disposal. So he's
Yes.
probably biting it.
Yeah. Well, that was the only scat that we found out there. Any sign of pretty much anything other than something that had scratched the side of one of the walls in the cave.
Oh,
potentially
yeah, I
like
have
a big
yet to
cat
see
or
that.
something. Yeah. So we didn't get a whole bunch of sign back there. And I think there was also that one place on the very, very back, Zook, where you guys went, that someone had sketched the word coffin in the ground. So that
yeah,
was
around
odd.
that time on that voice box. I think that's what it's called.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah, that
spirit
was around
box,
the
the
time whenever
spirit
like
talker.
Devils in the Cave or something came through that thing. But it really sucked because I really wanted to go much further, but a lot of gear that we had was more so for outdoors field investigation, like in that kind of terrain, and not so much caving. But man, I would have loved to have gone further, but we just didn't have the gear. But yeah, that really kind of grabbed my interest when I saw Coffin. To me, I'm like, ooh, adventure. I know, guys. I just have a dark mind, but like,
No, that's
so much.
and remember, the spirit talker, that's what Zook is talking about. Is I used the spirit talker when we were outside the cave starting that paranormal investigation. It had said the word coffin, and that was later that night, after they had went back and went a little bit further with all of them. I just thought that was really interesting that they saw that. And then as we're doing the paranormal investigation, when they all come back, it says coffin. That was crazy.
Right. That was
Blew
wild.
my mind.
That was wild. Boo the Beagle, thank you for that super chat. That is so sweet of you. I appreciate your support big time. You're awesome. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's just get into it, because let's get into the paranormal investigation, because we didn't find a whole lot of sign of cryptids yet. Okay, and we did take a journey that later that night into the wilderness. We felt like we were in Vietnam fighting in a war. Okay, trudging through the jungle is what it felt like. Honestly, looking, I mean, that was potentially extremely dangerous what we were doing out there. But let's talk about the paranormal investigation for a little bit, because that's where we actually got the most results, Farrah, of all the things I feel like we did.
Which that almost makes you wonder, what is it then that's really here? Because it chose to communicate that way. And again, I personally think that Bigfoot, Dogman, all of them, they're all supernatural in some way too. Maybe they couldn't get close enough because they can't communicate that way, because they don't want to be standing in front of us, and we sure as hell don't want to be standing right in front of them. So maybe they were, I mean, I'll get to something that I came up with later when you ask me about updates. I'll tell you what's been going on here. But as far as going back to the paranormal investigation, yeah, I mean, you blew my mind with that dowsing rod session that you did the first night that we were sitting by the fire, on the first night that you guys arrived. Because I mean, it, you know, it, well, in a sense, if you're a believer in the rods, I guess you should say, it confirmed that there was Sasquatch. It confirmed that there was a Dogman. It confirmed that there was less than 10, but more than 5 Sasquatch, meaning a pod. I mean, we don't know a certain number that a pod can be. A pod is just a number. It's a family. It's a unit per se. Now, I found it weird that it said there's no alien or like extraterrestrial, because goodness, we saw a UFO that night as well. So I still seem to think that there is ET on this property. I don't care. You know, you don't take everything and say it's 100%, but yeah, I mean, the REM pod going off that one night, Jessica, good God, what did you think of that?
Well, like I said in the video, that's not normal. Okay, it's not normal. We had a lot of activity with the REM pod, and Zook, I believe you had the laser grid that you see there in that picture, that, you know, could kind of map out if something were to walk in front of it, we would have been able to see that. But we did a dowsing rod session when we were sitting around the fire and just asking some questions. There seemed to be a lot of spirit activity there, of all things. So it was mostly spirit activity. But the questions I started asking, it went from spirits of humans to potentially spirits of Sasquatch. Okay. Which was really odd, because I had never really done that kind of, I never asked questions like that before. I never thought to, you know?
Right.
And
that opens
so
up
we were
a
getting
whole new door.
Totally. Well, some say that Sasquatch are just big hairy humans, right? A tribe of people. And so why wouldn't they have spirit form? And you know, it's just stuff to think about. Because so this was the night that we started having, you took it, is it called the SLS camera, Farrah?
Yes.
You had an app on your phone, and as we were asking questions and utilizing the REM pod, which, by the way, the REM pod, my team uses REM pods, but we don't use them as much as we used to, because we don't even know what they're measuring. We just know that when something comes near it into the energetic field of it, it sets an alarm off. Okay. It hits the antenna and it goes and it beeps. Okay. Now, some ghost hunting people use them to communicate with spirits. And that's kind of what we were using it for that night. And so the thing started going nuts, Farrah. Nuts.
Oh my God. It was scary, actually, because it was doing all the colors, meaning that every field that thing measures was going off. Also, it was something was touching it, because it has to do that noise and all the lights. Because if you yourself grab the antenna, all the lights come up. And something was not only touching that, but we also got an SLS figure right on it.
Yeah, we did. And I have some pictures of that. I took some screenshots of your videos, Farrah, off of YouTube and Instagram, I believe. So this is actually right when you walk into the cave over to our right, there was a little opening. It went into a dead end, I believe, right there where that big figure is. The REM pod is on the ground where the little figure is. The little figure looked like it was dancing on top of the REM pod. In the video, Farrah has all of this on her channel. Go to the Conversation Cabin on social media platforms, on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, okay, wherever else you can go. Wherever else.
Everywhere.
All the other outlets, y'all. Just go. You go find Farrah, y'all. But this video, the thing is dancing around it, and the REM pod is going crazy, like nuts. And then all of a sudden, the big giant in the background comes through this hole. It just comes flying out of the hole in the cave right there.
And I have another picture here. Down.
It crawled. It did. That's where it first showed up, right there. And it looked like the size of a normal human, kind of, but it got gigantic. It had huge, broad shoulders and long legs, and it crawled down the side of the wall. And the two little ones were crawling right there with it. Okay, so it was unnerving a little bit.
Actually, wasn't the most. I think the most we had at one time was three beings.
We had 3 at once. That's right. I think I was trying to get a screenshot of all 3. I thought I did.
I was trying to too, but like I couldn't get it to the right. I was moving and sliding it over, and I couldn't get it right. So I got to put it on my computer and do it. I was trying to do everything on my phone to get it out.
Well, everybody, please just go to Farrah's social media and subscribe to her YouTube channel, The Conversation Cabin. Okay, and you can see her video there. It's in her shorts. Okay, in the short videos. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think that we got the most activity through that device, through the REM pod and through the detector, and the voices that came through your ghost talker.
The different words that we got were crazy. And here's the thing, and you guys can even attest to this. Do I have cell phone service or Wi-Fi service by the cave?
Oh, wait, sorry. I had my mute button on. No, there's no service at all.
Right.
None.
So there's nothing that can
Wi-Fi,
interfere, because that's
nothing.
one thing big with people is, oh, these apps don't work because if you got your cell phone service on, then, or your Wi-Fi, they can generate a word. It's very weird. You go up to that cave. That's why I cannot do any live investigations on my social media or YouTube in the cave, because for some reason, all service cancels out everything.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have phone service the whole weekend. I did connect to your Wi-Fi and was able to get online when I went and got on your front porch in your house.
Yep. I know.
But yeah, your house is very remote in a beautiful, gosh, it's beautiful out there. I miss being out there, Farrah. It's so gorgeous out there.
I heard Brian say that his phone, he didn't talk to anybody all weekend, and he said, it was actually kind of nice. So, and that's why we moved here, is because, we're kind of homebodies, we're kind of homebodies, and, we love our life together. So we don't need all the, parties and bars and things like that. We just, I love what I do. I love writing for my podcast. I love telling stories. I love experiencing what I'm experiencing out here. So for me to share it, it wasn't my thing. If you look back, before I started the podcast, I didn't have a Conversation Cabin Instagram. I had it when I started the podcast. I didn't share this stuff because, like I said, I didn't need the negativity of, oh, it's probably just this, and it's, you faked it. I don't need that negativity in my life, but I do feel that my reasoning for sharing it is because I know that things like this are real. And I know there's other people that have other experiences, and they're scared to tell their story. So I want to give them, Zook and I were speaking about that over the weekend, and you too. We're here to give people a voice to come on our shows and show them that, first of all, ignore the trolls. Those people, they don't like their own life. They're not happy with their own life. They're just bringing you down. We are here to be a gateway for people to say, hey, we believe in things, and we believe you if you had an experience. Come tell us. Come share it with us. So that's what I do on my podcast, as well as you and Drew and Zook.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I'm seeing a lot of questions. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not pulling up a ton of comments today because my computer's been lagging so bad. But I do see your comments, and this was a really good comment right here because I was talking with Keith, one of the guys on my team, and he asked me. He said, He said it would have been a good idea had we put sand down. Hold on, let me pull this up. If I hadn't already, if we put sand down in the front of the cave, and maybe that's something that you should do, Farrah, is to put some sand down just to see if anything's walking in and out of your cave.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Like, just
yeah,
do a
definitely.
good big old line. Yeah,
Definitely.
Put
Thank
a
you,
big
Henry.
line of it, a bunch of it. Yeah, Henry,
I will
that was
do
a
that.
great idea there.
Oh, I
Yes,
have there's a question in the
and
live
we did
chat.
talk about a curse, and it's
Yeah.
I do. Okay, so Susie, I've seen you put that comment a few times. I've seen it. I was getting to it, I promise. So we were talking about the curse. We had talked, I saw it in my data. The women saw it that were mediums. Farrah, what do you think about this curse right now? And do you think that we were able to do anything to help it? Whatever's going on there?
I will have to say right now, I think it is either at the same or a smidgen more of activity because of the fact that I caught that shadow figure. And then of course I have something in my house, but I will say this, Susie, the curse, I don't know if you heard at least the part where the curse is that thousands of years ago, like maybe 1,000, 2,000 years ago, there was something that happened on this land where, native people had banished these bad people who ended up being skinwalkers into the cave. So really, as far as the curse, from what I got gathered from the mediums, what they said was that they're trying to get out and they're trying to get a vessel to get out. But, that's as far as I've gotten as far as investigating it. Now, I will say this. I had told you the other day, Jessica, that I'm actually going to contact, it's a local medium here. Looked up her, her recommendation, people recommending her, did a little background research on her. I'm going to have her come out and do an on camera and see what she can pick up. And then I'm searching also for like a shaman to come out and maybe give me a little bit more direction on what this curse can be, how to handle it. But from what I also gathered from the mediums is that simple sage, simple blessings like our Father art in heaven, they don't respond to that type of stuff. This is a different, darker, more ancient entity.
Very ancient.
This isn't something, that you've seen on Amy and Adam from Kindred Spirits or Ghost Adventures. If they brought in, a medicine man and he did a couple shakes and this and that, that's regular Native American traditional things. This is something deeper, darker, more just sinister in a way.
It's more than we could handle as a team out there. Okay.
Yeah,
when it came down to this very ancient, we're not equipped to take care of it completely. We were out there and we investigated it. Susie, thank you for that super chat too. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Susie, for donating.
Yeah. Hey, Farrah's the brave one. Okay. Farrah's the brave one. Well, Zook, you're pretty brave too, I guess. I'm just kidding.
Hey, you're brave too. You walked right out there in that Vietnam forest that we went into.
God.
Or field, I should say.
There's a jungle going up that. That was fun. That was actually one of my favorite. I only came out with 2 ticks on me that night that I could find.
I didn't have any, thank God, but I'm hope that you guys make sure you tell me if you guys got ill or anything like that. But another thing I want to tell you, Jessica, is Saturday night when you had left.
Yes, I left a little early because I had to go to the Indian Mounds on Sunday back where I live.
But it was with your family, and that's what is important. Yeah. But so Jake and I went out and did an investigation in front of the cave, and off the wall activity again. Spooky thing was is that Jake heard something from his left side. He turned around. There's one lonely deer walking in front of our house, just staring at us. Walked into the field by the mailbox, where you guys know where the mailbox is at. Went a little bit past the mailbox and stopped and just stared at us. Walked a little bit more, stopped, stared at us, and then started running. And we got some crazy responses. I mean, I think I haven't posted that one yet of Jake and I's investigation because it's 15 minutes long. So I have to, I want to try to condense a little bit of it so that way it can fit on all the social medias. But yeah, and that's on camera. I have that on camera as also the words that were coming out on camera and some of the things it was saying. Another thing that I got recently on the Spirit Talker was the word necromancer, necromancer, which when I looked, I mean, first of all, for the Spirit Talker to say that word necromancer, I'm a YouTube paranormal fanatic. I watch Paranormal Files, Twin Paranormal, Mackie and Amanda, you name it. I watch the big ones, Sam and Colby, all of them. They all pretty much use the Spirit Talker. Out of all of their investigations I've watched for 3 years, I've never seen the word necromancer come up. And it means wizard or magician, which almost makes me think Skinwalker, because that's kind of what it is in some way. But again, if you watch that stuff like I do for entertainment, at the very least, that Spirit Talker does not say that. Also, I don't know if I told you, the ghost tube, Zook, that you know of, that spits the words out too, because I go between Spirit Talker and ghost tube. Ghost tube said my name yesterday, or the day before yesterday. And I have that on screenshot. It said my name. There's over 1,000 words in that database. Yeah. How did it say my name? Because I sure as hell know that Amy and Jared from Amy's Crypt, who developed that, did not put Farrah in there. And it said my name, Farrah, spelled exactly correctly. Farrah.
Interesting. Okay, well, it was giving us a lot of different names. They sounded old school names, like I can't remember all the names it was saying, but it was like Edith and stuff, something like our our grandparents, Charles. Our great grandparents would have been named, and they were talking about how they had been executed in there, and she killed us, and I think that cave has a lot of history. Okay, a lot of history, and the one thing that I noticed when I first walked in were the Legos and the Nerf bullets. I have a kid, I have a son. I could see somebody like him and his buddies playing in the mouth of that cave. I would not let my kid go deep in that cave. Just saying.
Yeah, no, I can't. Yeah,
no. but I noticed that, and so we were doing another dowsing session on Saturday afternoon, and the guys were Zook. You guys were way back in the cave somewhere. And somebody did in the chat did ask if the cave had an end to it or if it just kept going. Zook, what happened when you guys went back there? Did it ever end or did it just keep going?
It kept going. Just before we came across the coffin on the wall, there was a massive boulder we had to tie off a rope and swing down because it was pretty steep. Maybe about 45 degrees, very slippery, and then there was water just beyond that. So we had to swing over to this platform to walk across, and then Brian walked a little further because there were two. It was like a fork. If you went one way, the mud was so deep it would go up to your knees. The other way, like it looked like it was a really far drop down, which could have gone on. But I don't understand like this part, but just for how far back this cave went. But there were like massive amounts of that were just cemented off. And it was just weird. So that'll explain like the random hose that just happened to be in there. Like I assume it was part of some big cement project, but just to get ladders back there to reach some of these areas, I'm like, man, that'd be so difficult. Just for all the tight spaces, twists and turns. but it was just so crazy how high up some of that cement went. And I'm like, what is it? I don't know. I don't know enough. I don't want to come up with any weird theories of my own, but underground base. I'm like, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
That's what I was thinking too, Z. That's what I was thinking too. Is that somewhere, somehow, whether it's military, ET, who knows, but it just seems like something's there, because even the creek, when it rains and it gets full, like I posted on my Instagram the other day, the place that's, if you're on our front porch, Jessica, and you look to the left from the creek bed that you can see, middle of that, water goes down in somewhere. Like there's a cavern down in there somewhere. So, because that's how the creek doesn't stay. It's draining from somewhere before it even gets to build up. Because Jake sees it. He followed it one day because he's like, what is going on? And he saw it, and it was like literally it's streaming down in this something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I did pick up on an underground facility underneath your property there. So it could be something to do with that. Now we haven't even gotten into the later part of our evening with our trek into the jungle. Okay. Which was awesome. I know. So we actually ended up walking down the road, and we were going to do some scouting of the property. Okay. Because, you were actually telling me that your neighbor across the road had lived, like one guy had lived there before you lived there, I think. He was there for a month, and he saw something walking in his backyard, and he left.
Yeah, he was an engineer.
Yeah.
He was an engineer guy. When we first moved in, he moved in the same time as us, and he was gone in a month. And when I asked the landowner, I was like, what happened to that engineer guy? Because he was looking for a new start, coming out in the country, got retired, and she said he saw something in his backyard that was big, didn't look normal, and he was gone. He might have not even stayed maybe 3 weeks, Jessica. Oh, you're on mute, I think.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just over here talking. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so that was the picture. You knew what I was doing. You could see my mouth moving, right? So, okay. So we walked down the road. We went to the left, and then we crossed over through some fields, and went up into the high, tall jungle over there, which was the Appalachian Mountains. Okay, and that was a lot of fun. But geez, that could have been so dangerous. Since I left your property, I've had an info dump on Dogman and werewolves. Okay, and all over that area in Georgia, all over the country, really. And yeah, that's it. What we do is very dangerous. Okay, and so I don't recommend anybody doing it unless you are equipped. Okay, and have some experience out there, like
have some
like
people with you,
and some have guns. A group. Yeah. Actually, I absolutely have a group, because you don't know what's going to jump out of a tree. Okay, or lurking in that tall grass. I mean, the grass was literally 2 feet taller than I was when we were walking.
It was high. And mind you, and I did tell them, everybody, it was mowed like, in the fall months, but it was 6 to 7 feet high when we were there, and it was thick. There was some part where it was thick. And we also did notice, could be deer, of course, too, but we did notice some very big bed downing spots. Big ones. Like, I mean, some ones that I looked at were like huge, not deer size. They looked a little bigger, but like I said, there was also some deer size too. But I don't know, there was like 1 or 2 that I looked at, and it was not only like wide, I mean, it was long. It was pretty big.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, on the way there, I happened to look up to the sky, and I noticed something very unusual in the sky. And
that was cool.
Because I'm trained to always look to the sky, and as I looked up, we saw Starlink. Okay, and that was weird. What did you think about that, Zook?
Man, I thought it was Santa Claus blowing.
Uh-oh, is that my computer? Oh, wait, there you go.
It's like whenever
I think he's frozen a
Is
little.
Zook frozen? See, that's the thing. Like with mine, I don't know if it's me or somebody, if it's him. So yeah, Farrah, Zook's frozen. I thought it was mine. Okay,
No,
Sarah. Farrah, what did you
no.
think about it? What was your thought
Well,
on the Starlink?
my first thought was when you mentioned it, I was looking for like a small satellite. When I looked up, the thing looked like the cigar shape that everyone talks about the UFO before, because you have to use your phone to see the lights within the thing. So when you're looking at the sky, you just see the outline of this, I mean, football fields long. It looks like the cigar shaped UFO thing that everybody talks about online. And I got scared for a second because I didn't know what it was. And I was like, oh my God, they're coming to get us.
Right.
And then once I put my phone up to it, then you can see the lights within it. And then I'm like, oh, okay. All right, now I get it. But it was freaky at first, but it was so cool that we caught that. That started the night out awesome, because, you know, when you live in a city and you don't see much of the stars or the sky, when you have a big property like I do, I mean, you see the whole sky.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and for people who aren't familiar with, I think it's called Skylink or Starlink. I think it's Skylink, I guess. Starlink. I think that's some kind of Elon Musk thing. Okay. And it looks like an Amtrak train going across the sky way up, like, but it's just a whole bunch of satellites all stuck together basically. And it looks like a train going through the sky. So that was so odd.
I loved it. It was so cool.
Yeah.
I actually have that footage on my Instagram and YouTube too.
You do. Zook, you froze up there for a second. What did you think when you saw that Skylink?
Dang, my last thought was like, well, this is it. I didn't know what I was going to experience, but no,
that's what I thought too.
So freaking cool. I wasn't at first, because I don't, just with the setting and stuff, I didn't really want to say anything because I didn't want to freak anybody out. But I'm like, I'm just going to stare. Then somebody else, if they see it, then they'll mention it.
Yeah, I was surprised that we didn't all get taken up to the mothership at that point. Just kidding. No, I actually knew what it was.
It's like
I had heard of it.
House.
Right. I had never seen it in real life, but I'd heard about it before. So I wasn't shocked. But a couple of the guys on the team had never even heard of it, and they didn't know what it was. So it was a good thing that at least one of us knew what it was, right? So that was interesting. But I felt like that was really setting it off for like a really cool rest of the night with us out in the field. And it didn't disappoint. I mean, I'm not going to say that I feel like we had a whole lot of Sasquatch and Dogman activity out there, but it was an experience. It was definitely quite the experience. And we definitely saw some eye shine out there. And the grass was just too thick and too high to really get too deep into it out there that night. But that was quite an experience.
And to be honest, you know, in the daytime, the next day on Saturday, you know, we could have got so much more investigating out in the woods, but it was so hot. And I don't think everyone was prepared for how hot that, you know, it would be when you get out into the wilderness and stuff. I mean, that right there, that was Saturday daytime for us, because we were in that cave. We were hot because the night before we trudged up a mountain and kept going up. And even Brian and Scott had kind of veered to the right a little bit. It even went up steeper, and to go through 7-8 foot tall, high, really thick grass with bugs everywhere. And, you know, we could only stay out there that long. And then Saturday, when I did want to go out to the woods more, it was just too hot. And that's when, you know, we just kind of hung around, talk. And then I showed you guys this second location for this other cave that we have access to.
Yeah. And Zook actually found an arrowhead, you guys. He found a Native American arrowhead out there in a dried up creek bed. So congrats on that arrowhead. That was amazing.
Because of you, Z, I am going to do more investigating in my creek bed out front of my house, because I want to find more artifacts. So you like sprung that idea, because to be honest, I never even thought about jumping in the creek bed and kind of spending the day. So thank you. If I find gold, I'll split it with you.
Yes. I'll also take
Oh my
diamonds over
gosh.
it.
And yeah, there's probably, I mean, I was looking for geodes. Okay. I love quartz. I always take quartz
Oh
from all
yeah,
the
yeah.
places I investigate. And
Yeah,
I
and
was
you
looking for
guys found
quartz
two,
and
right?
geodes. Yeah, well, I found some good quartz, but it was mostly geodes, and that are round. You can crack them open. There's crystals inside of them, and so there was a lot of those on that property. It was beautiful. Gosh, it was beautiful out there. And also, Farrah, you showed us a beautiful property with a gigantic barn on it, and I believe, this is where you guys went and cleared this barn that night after I actually left and went home before y'all went out.
There's one
Right before you went
actually.
out.
There's one actually quite a bit further past that
Mhm.
one, and that's the one we checked out. And I was waiting for something to jump out and get me, but it didn't happen. But it was really eerie. I wish just my phone could record better at night because it was crazy.
Oh yeah.
That's such a
I
great
mean,
shot.
some of the footage you guys got that night was amazing, and some of these videos that y'all put together, they're all on Farrah's page. Y'all go to the Conversation Cabin on YouTube, okay, and social media, and Cryptid Warfare podcast too. I know I got Z Baby and Drewski here. Drewski's in the chat. Yeah, you guys go subscribe to them as well, okay, and got some great, but when it comes down to it, we have to go out and clear places like this for potential threats and stuff when we're out there doing this research. So that's what these guys were doing right here. They were a top-notch A team right there, and that's what we were dealing with this weekend. It was a lot of fun, and we were all on our A game.
Oh, I
Zook,
think so, for
Zook
sure.
definitely was. Farrah, you were. We all were. We were all on our A game because we had to be. And
Yeah.
and so ultimately, we didn't have cryptid activity per se. I don't know what Saturday night. Did y'all have any extra activity that I don't know about?
Yeah. Oh well, the guys. Oh
Them,
yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
both of y'all. Yeah, both of you.
Well, no, whenever we were deep in, I don't know how far we in or how far we were in, but I do remember a couple instances where we had to stop because it would be a vast field with thick grass, but it was lined by trees. I remember us stopping there, and then it was something far off in the distance. We felt like we saw eyes, and then there were definitely sounds around us. But I don't think anything like too heavy.
And then, like I said, I had, Jake and I
We got
did
some
that
good advice.
paranormal investigation, outside of the cave where we got more words, more REM pod action, more, he got to see the figures. I had the figure come out of the cave again. And we actually got a figure that I will say a human on the SLS is a dot for the head, just one dot. And then, it'll dot the shoulder, and then I think hip, the right, left hip, and then the knees, and then the feet. There's a dot for each one of those places. This thing that we got Saturday night, the top of it was not just one dot. It went line out, dot, dot. Like it had like horns of some sort, which freaked. To say I was freaked out was an understatement on that one, because that was just scary. So
Okay, so that's what you mean by horns, and oh, go ahead, Z.
Because see, oh yeah, go ahead, Z. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, at first, because I tend to just for some things I tend to be a skeptic on, and I'm like, well, anything could simulate something dancing, but then as soon as it started turning away and walking toward that little black box thing, doing its like little jiggly wiggly dance, like it's crazy how active that little box got, and I'm like, oh, that app is legit. Like,
that's right.
Well,
yeah, those are the Ghost Tube. I mean, like I said, Ghost Tube is made by Amy and Jared, who do Amy's Crypt on YouTube. They are legit paranormal investigators. They don't fake, but Jared is a very smart guy, and they created Ghost Tube. And like I said, now most people that are in a place that have service, it's suggested to put your phone on airplane mode so it gets no outside interference. Because then when you get a word or you get an SLS figure or something, more than likely it's some type of paranormal activity. So, I always suggest put your phone on airplane mode. And then Spirit Talker is another one that I use. Same thing. Put your phone on, airplane mode, because that's how, that's why I'm glad that you guys came out too, because you could see that when I'm doing these and I'm getting these, answers, it's not a Wi-Fi signal bleeping something or whatever, and I'm in the middle of a cave. So I shouldn't get any words whatsoever anyway. But yeah, and then the dark shadow that I saw last night.
Yeah.
That was the first. I mean, I got a shadow figure in November, December when we first moved here out in the yard, like I said, but this one was in your face. Like, there was no doubt about it. It was nothing that I could say was this or that or the other. Where the shed, you saw where the camera was, Zook, on the shed. Okay,
yeah.
so if you're the camera and you're looking down and you have the side of the shed right here, first of all, it set off my camera. So that's what triggered me. And good thing that it did, because that's the only way that I have it recorded, is because it did set off, but it didn't say vehicle, it didn't say animal, and it didn't say person. It just said motion. I bring it up, and when you're looking down, first it's a thick, blacker than black, inky blob that's up against the shed, and it's moving like this. It's a very, like, almost, it made my stomach sick to look at it, because I knew it was something. And then all of a sudden it manifests and splits and goes vertical, and then you see it. And thank God the shed is white, because you see it form into a figure, and it goes along the shed and goes out to the yard. You cannot tell me that it is anything for what it is. And I have it posted on my TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, I think too. But it's probably it is very hard for even YouTube paranormal channels to catch a dark shadow figure. And I caught not only a thick blob of whatever that thing was, I got it manifesting into something else to move off as that thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And you've recorded orbs as well on your cameras out there. And I highly recommend that you just keep those cameras going all the time. And and just for your own safety, because we're safety first out here. And you need to just be very safe out there. And yeah. And so what is the game plan for the future, Farrah? And now that we're gone and we've done our investigation, what's the plan going forward?
Well, I'd like to have you guys come back out in like the late fall when, it's not so bushy and tree and everything is cut down, and where we can actually walk better, see better, not be able to actually do a thorough investigation night, then the whole day, then the whole next night, and then leave in the morning. Because, like I said, I think that we had a lot of activity last fall, a lot. That's when I caught the Bigfoot howl. But I would love to do that. Plus, I'll be branching out on YouTube now, even though I'm on YouTube right now, because when I post my podcast, it automatically goes to YouTube. But I'm actually going to be branching out, doing one podcast still a week on my regular show, audio wise. And then I'm going to be doing a video podcast once a week, starting here in about 2 or 3 weeks. So that's going to be used for more talking about my captures. So like you said, I've invested in some more cameras. I'm investing in my own equipment, of course. So I'll be sending your REM back shortly. And
it's okay.
I'm just going to keep
as long as you need it.
I will send it back shortly, but I'm just going to keep investigating. I know Drew, he sent me a chat the other day, which I really appreciated, because everybody doing this has to have a little check once in a while. And he said, look, don't play too much, be safe. And, you know, since I know it's in my house now, which I thought it was anyway, but, you know, but anytime that I do communicate with it, I've only been communicating with it as far as really talking, asking questions back and forth, was one day so far for like an hour. But before I do it, I say, you know, hey, protect me, Lord, with your love and light. No, nothing is allowed negative in here. You know, if you want to harm me, you can leave now. So I try to do as much good work as possible before I do something like that to protect myself. And, you know, of course, say a prayer afterwards. You know, everything that you're supposed to do, really. But that's all I choose to plan on doing, is just keeping a watch on everything, sharing it with all of you. And yeah.
Yeah, amazing. That's awesome. You're protected. You're gonna be okay. And I did feel as though, like, when you walk into that cave, it's like walking into a portal, like into another dimension. That's basically what it felt like. Sovereign Cosmic Wildman had a question. What items have been found inside the caves, and have you ever seen rock stacks in there?
Well, actually, as far as the artifacts that the college, they had gotten arrowheads, they had like pieces of pottery, things like that. That's as far as I know there. As far as rock stacks, there is that part where there was that fire pit sort of that was in the cave on the side that you, Jessica, didn't feel very, you know, good at. Whether that's human made or not, I don't know. But like I said, the cave is thousands of years old. One thing to note is that the cave is as old as it used to be underwater when Tennessee was underwater, because you will notice once you step right to the cave, you will see like the white coral looking like it looks like it's painted almost, but it's not. It's old coral. And then that's how some of the tunnels have cut out, because it used to be all underwater. So there's still more exploration to do. That's what I want Jessica and Z and Drew and all them to come up, is I think the next time they come up, I want to do more of like a more thorough encrypted investigation, like going out in the daytime and maybe setting up some things overnight that we can review the next day. And also maybe doing some dives in that other cave and this one, to maybe find some things, and also bring a black light so we can see any markings.
That's right. Petroglyphs and things like that.
Yeah.
I actually have an itch to go do some camping out of that other location at night, maybe do an overnight. We'll talk about it in the future, because I think it'd be cool to have a remote camp over there. Just for, not by myself. Holy cow, not by myself.
No, we can set up there. We'll just set up there.
And well, I have a couple of my teammates that want to come if we come back next time. If you ever invite us back, I got a couple of guys that want to come with me, at least a couple. So we could set up a satellite camp, is what we call it.
Yeah,
over there,
that would
bivouac
be awesome.
and do some hammock camping and things like that. So yeah, I think it's cool to have different setups all over the place.
Well, I think that location would be perfect, because where that old house is, we can use the porch as where to put, like, all of our stuff and comms gear or whatever, how you guys do your thing. And then it's so open where there's enough place for tents and everything. And I think, honestly, November would be like sweet.
Perfect. Yeah. The weather would be perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be nice. Absolutely. Well, I'm down. And I hope we got Zook and Z Baby and Drewski. You guys, y'all come on. I think everybody that came would probably be down to come back again. I think that was a great investigation. And Farrah, thank you so much for having us out. Thank you for having us out.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Anytime,
we have a
my
suggestion.
pleasure.
Maybe take a metal. Yeah, maybe take a metal detector into your cave.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Try to
John.
find some old coins and jewelry and bullets and whatever else you can find in there. Yeah, John says he'd help, but he's from Portugal, so he can't come do it himself. But
moral support.
Well, I'll look for you,
guys.
John. So don't worry, and I'll post it, and I'll tell Jessica about it too.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We have, okay. So that's Drewski. He said, we're down. So the team's down. I'm down. We're all down. And yes, and I saw Amy's comment. Amy, thank you so much. So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Farrah and Zook, you guys are the best. And we have a lot of fun out there doing this. And Farrah, I feel like you're protected out there. And I just hope, things die down a little bit for you. And you can get a shaman out there to bless that land. And yeah. I felt a giant vibe out there. Sunny Alberta says, "Are the giants waking up?" I don't know. Could be. I don't know.
Well, you had
There's a
said
little
that with
vibe
as
out there.
big as that one that came out when I was in the middle of the cave. Remember when I was doing an investigation in Saturday daytime and
Yep.
it was tall and you were like, oh my gosh. Oh, wait. You asked the dowsing rods if there were
I did.
giants and it said yes.
Yeah. And then we got this. Here, let me hide this comment and I'm going to pull this picture up one last time. I want you guys to please go check out Farrah's video. This was, we were getting interaction with one gigantic figure and two small ones. Okay. And so this is what we were seeing here. Is my computer this slow? Here we go. Okay.
Yeah, it's up.
My computer's so slow, y'all. So that's it. Okay. That was like a giant. That figure was huge. I mean, it could have been human size, but it just, when it jumped down, it got bigger.
Really big.
So it's weird. Weird stuff, y'all. Weird stuff. Shape-shifting. We had shape-shifting giants up in that cave. But yeah. Sasquatch giants. I mean, how could they have been Sasquatch spirits, Farrah? Zook, what do you think?
I think so.
I have no idea. I'm like, I do like,
I know, right?
man, I know we can only cram so much in this little interview or just update, but man, I don't know if did you tell anybody about that creature that you saw when you were walking your dog?
Is that you, Jessica?
Walking the dog? You're talking about me?
No, Farrah. You were out.
I don't have a dog.
She doesn't have a dog. You mean her bird? Maybe she was
walking your
Oh,
bird,
there was another.
sorry.
Well, there was another creature. Oh, I have a picture of that. Sorry.
That's funny.
Yeah, I feel like
Hold on,
like
I
in
have a
that, or
picture.
it could have been like another story, but I know you saw
This.
a
Oh,
creature
yeah,
with
the
its
dog.
arms and legs.
Or that one right
This?
there.
Okay, no, you said okay. That's what you said. It looked like a dog.
That's
yeah, a
right.
little, but the way it. Okay, that's what it was. Because I'm like, I don't think you have a dog.
No, I don't have a dog, but yes,
It was
that's
a
what I
dog
thought.
man.
Yeah,
a dog man.
because if you see like
Maybe.
really how pitch black that is, I mean, I
in
don't
the
know.
middle.
You guys,
Right
you
there.
guys got to see what that looked like, and you can see through the field. You can see through the woods to the other side to the field, even with all that brush there. And that thing was just black.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Just weird.
it was. Yeah, that's what you're referring to right there, probably that
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just have a big imagination. Well, too, I forgot to say this,
Oh,
but
yeah.
whenever it was asked earlier, I put it in the comments about things that we might have seen in there. But we did see, and they were definitely claw marks that went up the wall into another little pocket. Brian went up there, but I think it was just too high, just the angle. It was too low of an angle, and he couldn't really fit in there to get in. But it looked like something could have came out of there. But I don't know. They were definitely claw marks, because you can tell that it's different than like a handprint when it slides.
Mm-hmm.
And they were a pretty good distance away from one another. I think it was 3. I think I saw just 3. I don't know what that is, but
Oh my God. 3? That's a weird.
who knows?
that's
Maybe
weird.
it's like water.
That is
just
kind of
somehow
odd.
fell. Yeah.
Oh, hey, good thinking, Z. Remember when we went to that one area that I crawled through to meet you and Brian, where the firewood was that we saw?
Mhm.
There were little dugouts in the ground, like a bowl, but like if you were to dig a little hole, but you shaped it, real nice. Somebody put walnuts in there on the ground.
Yeah.
And it was very weird.
I mean, yeah, and these things could have gone way back in the day to like feral humans, people hiding out from the cops, serial killers living there back in the day. I mean, we don't know, back in the Bonnie and Clyde days, you know what I mean? Because the cave preserves things so nicely back there. It's the temperature, It's the elements back there. I mean, we don't know how old some of this stuff could have been.
And I don't have any walnuts around my house. So.
Well, that's odd. That's very odd.
That was the weird part. Yeah, not even on the vast land that we covered yesterday.
I mean, you looked at all of my yard, and there's no wild walnuts anywhere.
Portal. I don't know.
Interesting. Well, I didn't even think about that. And but I do. The feeling that I get from that is that it goes way, way back in history. You know, whatever that was up there, even with because everything is so preserved in a cave. So we really just don't know. We don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of spirits out there, a lot of spirits that we talked. And there were 7, remember? And when I was dowsing, I said, we caught it in the EVP recorder. So we were recording with our EVPs. Yeah. And I said, how many are there? Are there 5 or 10? I said, is there less than 10 or more than 5 or something? And we caught the voice that said 7. That's right.
And so then the other
7
one
of them out there.
Remember the other thing you asked? You asked, are you Native American? And it said, yes, but it held on to the S for a while, which I will be posting that because tomorrow I have off of work and I'm going through all of my EVP footage to break it down and then go ahead and snap everything and pull it out and stuff. But yeah, we got 2 really good voices on that, Jessica.
Oh yeah. And Penny Van in the chat said there are moonshiners out there too. I am sure there are still moonshiners. All sorts of people cooking things up in them woods. Not just moonshine, probably other stuff
I
too.
need some homemade moonshine.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Right. Oh my gosh. Save us a jar for the next time we come out. Okay. I'm just kidding. I don't want to drink any of that when I'm out there investigating. I tell you what, I'll take some home with me though.
Okay.
But
that's a deal.
Oh my gosh, how funny. This has been awesome, y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here to give the update tonight. I know the audience has really appreciated it. And yeah, this has been awesome. Farrah, I wish you the best out there. And if I can do anything to help you, I'm a phone call away. And I'm here to help for anything. Yeah.
And I thank you, Jessica. Thank you for being there for me through all this too. I appreciate it. And you too, Zook and Drew.
Yeah. Zook and Drew. Drewski is in the house. He's still in the chat. So yeah, and have a safe trip, Drew.
Yes,
Zook,
safe travels,
so much
Drew.
for being here. Yeah, we have more work to do, y'all. We're going to be doing some more work together in the future. I feel it. I know it. And I can't wait. Okay.
I can't wait.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, thank y'all so much for being here tonight. Thank you to all my moderators in the chat. Thank you to everybody who gave me a super chat tonight. I love you guys so much. Y'all are the best. Your support means the world to me. And yeah, we're out here doing some boots on the ground research, and we're bringing it to you live and direct. Please go subscribe to the Conversation Cabin. Find Farrah wherever you get your podcast format. Let me pull this up on the screen for everybody. So y'all, it's the Conversation Cabin. Is that showing? I'm sorry.
It's
my
showing.
computer's slow. It's showing. Okay. It's not showing on mine. So, okay. Okay. And then also go to the Cryptid Warfare. I think I wrote, just Cryptid Warfare podcast. You guys go find them wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as well. Okay. All over social media. Cryptid Warfare podcast. You guys, y'all are awesome. I love you guys. Everybody have a wonderful night. Please come. Y'all come hang out with me this weekend. I'm going to be at Spaced Out Radio. I have Al Santoriga coming on Saturday night. And then I'll tell you my guests on Sunday. I don't know yet. Okay. So, but y'all come see me there 10 p.m. I know I'm one of those last minute girls. I live on the edge. Okay.
Hey, life is life. We got to do what we got to do.
Show. I have an amazing show. It never disappoints. I have a list of people that I want to come on my show. So I'm going to get a great guest on Sunday. All right. But you guys have a great night. Please follow my friends here. And I will see you guys this weekend at Spaced Out Radio. You guys have a great night. Bye.